Welcome to the China Aid edition of the Light from the Southwest. My name is Bob Fu, the president and founder of China Aid. We at Texas, we always go to church. We love freedom, love our Second Amendment. And particularly, we always support religious freedom and human rights around the globe. And today, I'm privileged to have two special distinguished guests with us. Particularly, we want to focus on a major crisis in southwest China, an area called Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region, where in January 20, in January 19th, one day before the new Biden administration was sworn in, the former Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, a great Secretary of State, we really love him as a freedom fighter, he pronounced on behalf of the US government that a genocide and a crime against humanity had been committed by the Chinese Communist Party against this between 1 to 2 million, predominantly Uyghurs and certainly Kazakhs and other religious minorities in that area. And of course, the population over there are perhaps more than 10 million of them had been living there. And I really want to use this time to ask our two guests to share what's really happening over there and how did this genocide started and what kind of atrocities this Chinese Communist Party regime had been committing right now. It's like a repeat of a Holocaust as we are talking. First of all, I want to read one of the scriptures that really is my favorite, actually help founding the Ministry of China Aid. That is in the New Testament, Book of James, chapter 1, verse 27, the end of the chapter. Here, James said, religion that is pure and undefiled before God the Father is this: to visit orphans and widows in their affliction and to keep oneself and stand from the world. So that is the true piety. Not only just you visit church, you sing hymns and worship and praises and get more conversions or other things. I mean, these are all important of our life, Christian faith. But here, James basically reflects the faith without action is dead. So here in China Aid, that's is one of the really inspiration. We are driven to walk with the persecuted. Not only talk about persecuted, we want to walk with talk. And we want to advance religious freedom for all faiths if they are persecuted. And by exposing the abuses of the persecution, by encouraging the abused, and by equipping the leaders. And here we are at the stadium. We have two of the leaders who are also walking with the persecuted of the their ethnic minority, the Kazakhs, and their fellow kind of neighbors, the Uyghurs, in Xinjiang and in Kazakhstan as well. So welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Yeah, so Mr. Sarek Zhang is my first guest. He is the founder of this volunteer organization based in Kazakhstan, and I even have a hard time, because it's in Kazakh language. It's called
Atajurt.
Atajurt. Yeah. So please just welcome everyone to Mr. Sarek Zhang and his colleague.
Mr. Galman.
Mr. Galman. Welcome you as well. And it's his colleague who flew from Kazakhstan to really support a very important mission. We just finished, successfully rescued on February the 9th at Dallas Fort Worth International Airport. This family, Guzira and her 7-year-old daughter and her husband. And Guzira spent at least 16 months in the China's concentration camp, and who herself is both a victim and a witness of this atrocity of systematic forced rape and the prostitution in these camps. It's just unbelievable. This is happening in the 21st century. But tell us, first of all, what is your organization? What is the meaning of this organization? And why did you start this?
Thank you, Mr. Bob. Thank you for your kindness and invite us to this video show, GLC program. And my name is Sergjan Blash, and our team called it the Atajurt, Kazakh Human Rights Organizations, and we call it Kazakh Human Rights Advocacy Group. And we are the volunteers, and we help the Kazakhs, ethnic Kazakhs. These Kazakhs were arrested by Chinese Communist Party illegally, and Chinese Communist Party put them to so-called re-education center. Now everybody know nowadays the so-called re-education center is a concentration camps. It is bad than jails and prison. It is similar to prison, but also torture, sexual torture, and very bad things happened in our modern time nowadays. And Atajurt in Kazakh language, Ata is father, and Jurt is land. Atajurt is our father's land, because we are from Xinjiang, and this land is our origin. And historically, this land called Jongaria, and but unfortunately, Jongar, this nation, is now non-exist in the world. Disappeared this nation because of the war between Kazakh and Jongar and Manchuria. So this land is our fatherland. From thousands of years ago, the ethnic Kazakhs, the nomadic Kazakhs living in this place. So that's our father's land. So we call it Atajurt. And we are not politicians. We never worked on human rights issue before Chinese Communist Party arrest Kazakhs. And after the 2016, Chinese Communist Party began to arrest more and more Kazakhs, and a lot of thousands of Kazakh family, they separated the two countries. One of their family members left in China, and most of their family members living in Kazakhstan, and they immigrated to Kazakhstan because China, the west north part of China and Kazakhstan, they are neighbor. They are common territory is more than 1,700 kilometers, and they are neighbor, and around 500,000 Kazakhs immigrated after Kazakhstan get independent from Soviet Union. And all Kazakhs began to find me and find my team members, and they required me to help them. First, I began to help one family. Immediately, second family, because they lost their husbands, women with very young children, and they can't work. They need a coal in winter. They need the food. I began to help them because I'm a businessman before, and my economical situation is very good in that time.
Yeah, I understand that you have helped thousands
of people,
Kazakhs, and refugees. I mean, and also Uyghurs too.
Yeah,
right?
also Kyrgyz also.
Yeah.
What kind of people visit us and require our team to help? We never refuse them.
So for those from America and especially from West Texas, maybe this is the first time to heard about Kazakh,
maybe
Uyghur.
Maybe.
So these two ethnicities. I mean, I understand Mr. Gallman also a Kazakh, right?
Also Kazakh.
Could you introduce him? Where were you born?
My team member, Mr. Galman Kochigit, he born at Turkey. And Zala has a long history. He's Kazakh. After Kazakhstan get independent from Soviet Union, he immigrated from Turkey to Kazakhstan, and now Kazakhstan citizen. And he has a very special history because his grandfather was killed by Chinese 1929 in Xinjiang, in East Turkestan. And his grandfather is our national hero. And he fought with the Chinese people. He protected his homeland. They call it Altai. And fatherland, really fatherland. And his grandfather, Zuka, we call him Zuka Batr. Batr is a hero, Zuka. And Zuka is, he has army. He built his independent territory from the Chinese regime. Powerful person for Kazakhs, protected the Kazakhs, and a lot of Kazakhs. A lot of Kazakhs is escaped from in that time from Soviet Union. You know, in the 1929, the Soviet Union, they killed millions of Kazakhs and Ukrainians in that time.
Soviet Union.
They escaped
millions
of Kazakhs. And that time a lot of Kazakhs escaped from Soviet Union, and they require Mr. Galman's grandfather protects them, and they escaped to Xinjiang, escaped to Altai. In that time, we called it East Turkestan. Now call it the Xinjiang.
So Mr. Really Galman is a real national hero.
Yeah.
And fighting with, representing and fighting his with the Chinese Communist Party.
Yeah.
And first with the Soviet Union.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that millions of the Kazakhs were murdered and killed by the former Soviet Union communists. And it's really unfortunate. We see, after the 1929, and then the Communist Party of China was established in 1921. And of course, they took power in 1949. And then they went back
to occupy
the Xinjiang, your fatherland, right? So maybe I should invite Mr. Galman to use the Kazakh language to say, greetings to the American people and who are praying and caring about your people and welcome you to come to West Texas.
Қазақша.
Мен алдымен Американың халқына рахмет айтқым келеді. Өйткені бізге Американың халқы және үкіметі, Американ медиасы, Американ мемлекеттік емес ұйымдар, халықаралық human rights ұйымдары, адам құқықтары жөніндегі ұйымдар, және де басқа да ұйымдар бізге өте көп көмектесті. Осы жолы біз Қазақстандан, Шинжандан Қазақстанға келген, Шинжанда лагерде болған бір қазақ семьяны Қазақстан арқылы Түркияға, Түркиядан Тексасқа алып келдік.
Sir John, can you do a quick summary?
Mr. Goldman said, thanks American people, American government and American non-governmental organizations. Thanks you, Mr. Bob. And said, American media also, they helped a lot. And we saved a lot of people from the Xinjiang concentration camps, and all American organizations helped a lot. And last time we saved one ethnic Kazakh family from Xinjiang and to Kazakhstan, after then through Turkey, and moved her family to US. And I say thank you very much.
Welcome once again.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for us,
Yeah.
helping us.
Once again, maybe we should go back, do a little bit further introduction about to ordinary Americans, especially West Texans. I understand the Kazakh, your people, and Uyghur. If you walk on the street in China, definitely you are to the Han Chinese, you're foreigners.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
You're the Uyghur,
Yeah.
you're the foreigners.
Yeah.
And yet, it's really embarrassing. And I feel, even as an ethnic Han Chinese, I did not personally participate in any persecution or ethnic cleansing in Xinjiang. And yet, the Chinese Communist Party, who hijacked this Han Chinese predominantly and engaged this long time, since 1949, right? The persecution, the atrocity, and I have some Communist Party high-rank friends, high-rank officials, friends who told me the Communist Party military, the PLA in Xinjiang, just use machine guns and wipe off one village after another. So that crime had been committed long time ago already, even before this 2016. And so I want to, you were born in Xinjiang, right? So tell us a little bit about your experience. How did your experience, lead to today's concentration camps?
And Chinese Communist Party is a big devil in the world, and the character of communism is anti-humanity. So the Kazakh people, my poor nation, is pressured by Russian communism and the Chinese communism. And for example, Russian people occupy the Kazakhstan, and after then the Russian people established the Soviet Union. In 1916, they almost killed 1 million Kazakhs because they occupied the Kazakh territory. And 1921 and 1922, the Lenin era. And they killed around 2 million Kazakhs in Kazakhstan. In Lenin era. And the 1931 and the 1933, this time is very special time, and a lot of people, especially the researchers and the politicians, know this history because of Ukraine. And the 1931 and 1933, the two nations made the genocide by Russian people, the Ukrainian people. 2.5 Ukrainian people killed by Russian communists, and the same time, 4.5 million Kazakhs killed by Russian communists in same time.
Think about this. 4.5
million. It is almost 5 million people.
And the former Soviet Union communists.
That the communism, the socialism, just like CCP now, Chinese Communist Party, their character is devils. They are satanists. They are anti-humanity.
Satanic.
Satanic. And after then, my poor nation, also 1936 and 1937, all the educated persons spiritual persons, teachers, and another active Kazakhs arrested and killed by Russian Communist Party. It is just a genocide. And in 1941, they sent these Kazakhs, all Kazakh men, to the World War II. After with the fight with Germany. And after the Germany war finished, they sent these Kazakhs to fight with the East Turkestan army. To send the Kazakhs dressing just like the Kazakh nomadic people. The army, the uniform of the army is dressed off and lets them dress just like nomadic Kazakh dress and send them to Xinjiang and fight with the Kazakh army. In that time, Kazakh and Uyghurs united together and fight with CCP in that time in Xinjiang. And it is called the Shen Shesai era. Shen Shesai, one of the famous Chinese historical person, and first time he cooperated with Stalin, and he called himself he is a communist and the son of Stalin. But after the World War II, he began the Stalin. We all destroyed by Hitler, and he treated Stalin, and he cooperated with Chiang Kai-shek. Chiang Kai-shek, yeah.
Even before the Chinese Communist
Yeah.
Party took power,
Yeah.
Chinese nationalists
China,
also engaged
yeah.
in massacre.
Massacre,
over there.
yeah.
So that's a new information. at
But
least to me.
all the Russian people and all the researchers who are very interested in Central Asian history know about it. And after then, also the Kazakh army who back from the German war, the front line of German war, the Russian government sent these Kazakhs to the, fight with Japanese in Chinese territory, call it Dongbi. Yes, they fight with Japanese in Chinese territory. And all these facts show that the Kazakh people is very poor people, non-stoply killed by communism. Russian communism, Chinese communism. And in China, in my fatherland, how could I say? It is from the Mao Zedong era.
Chairman Mao's era.
Yeah, Chairman Mao, he destroyed all of our mosques. He killed all of our educated persons, arrested and sent them to the far from. Sometimes they send them to the another place, killed, arrested. After the Cultural Revolution finished, we began to living faithfully, but our fathers, my mothers, tell us very secretly how many Kazakh killed in cultural revolution time, in Chairman Mao's time. And we know it.
That's from 1966 to
Yeah.
1976.
Yeah,
10 years.
10 years.
Cultural revolution
Yeah.
instigated by Chairman Mao, who is
Yeah.
a real monster.
Yeah, monster, yeah.
According to the Chinese historian,
Yeah.
Even during that 10 years Cultural Revolution,
Yeah,
there are between 30 to 40 million
yeah.
ethnic Han Chinese
Also
were
killed.
murdered
Yeah.
and killed.
Yeah,
And
it's
so it's really very revealing to hear from you during the Cultural Revolution.
Yeah.
What happened to the Kazakhs?
Also, the Cultural Revolution is very bad to Han Chinese, also similar to the ethnic Kazakhs and Uyghurs. But it is more harder than inner China province. In Xinjiang, they destroyed everything, even our national dresses, our culture, our traditional schools, our mosques, everything destroyed.
And the cultural kind of cleansing.
Yeah, cultural cleansing and also ethnic cleansing.
Ethnic cleansing.
Yeah, because they made it, and our population is more and more small, going to small. Just in Chinese language called the Shaoshu Minzu. It's a small population. After the 10 years passed, the Kazakhs and Uyghurs We lost millions of people, but nobody write about it. We just heard it from our grandfathers and the fathers and mothers. It is a secret now. How many million Kazakhs and Uyghurs killed in the 10 years of the Cultural Revolution? Nobody know about it.
Yeah, so in other words, actually, wave of ethnic cleansing
Ethnic
or
cleansing.
genocide had already been committed before this.
Before Xi Jinping era.
Xi Jinping, the new discovery of concentration.
Yeah,
camps.
that's just a continue one by one. Chairman Mao did it first, and now Xi Jinping, he thinks himself is Chairman Mao. Chairman Mao.
Or Junior.
Yeah.
He's nicknamed Chairman Mao Junior.
Yeah, and he did it again, but more powerful than Chairman Mao time because everywhere watching towers, and everywhere the digital watching.
Authoritarianism.
Digital. This is called
Face recognition cameras
face
everywhere.
recognition, the behavior recognition, and the high technology, including high technology and the listening, watching all of your activities on social media, and that's terrible than Mao time. So after the 2016, more and more people, around thousands of people, required me to help them because their loved ones, family members, especially the men, arrested in China. And in that time, I'm a businessman, I'm not a politician. I began to help them one by one. But after the people is more and more, every day more and more growing up. So I began to visit the politicians of Kazakhstan, the deputies, ministries, and other politicians, activists, writers, and another famous person in Kazakh society.
So at that time, you already immigrated.
Yeah, I already immigrated. Yeah,
From Xinjiang.
21 years ago, I already immigrated, and I already got Kazakhstan citizenship. But unfortunately, very bad things happened in Kazakhstan now. That no one deputy, no one politician, no one the weak person of Kazakh society went to help us. They chose to keep silent.
Why?
Afraid of CCP, because Chinese Communist Party controlled all sphere of Kazakhstan society, financial, politically, and every field controlled by CCP. Now Kazakhstan, de facto, Kazakhstan is not independent.
So in a sense, really, your fellow, ethnic Kazakhs people, in the sovereign nation of Kazakhstan, refuse to
help
even, help in any meaningful way because the Chinese Communist Party, with its extended long arm beyond its border and control this Kazakhstan government. I mean, this we call Stan countries. Tajikistan, Kyrgyzstan, all
Uzbekistan,
neighboring countries. No wonder Xi Jinping, after he took power, calls this Central Asia Countries Summit with China.
You're right.
Maybe the way, by using the so-called One Belt, One Road economic incentives in exchange for silence.
One Belt, One Road, it is a financial chap. It's financial chap.
Military.
Military chap. Also, before the One Belt and One Road, they assembled this Central Asian country, including Russia Empire, to Shanghai Cooperation Organization. It's the former Soviet Union countries, and the China reunited again, and they signed an agreement to anti-terrorism, anti-separatism, and nothing. It's just like one organizations against Western countries, Western democracy.
So for this, those who may not be familiar with this One Belt, One Road term, it is Chinese Communist Party's economic initiative in the name of economic aid to those countries, particularly in the third world countries,
Yeah.
along the old so-called Silk Road.
Silk Road.
And, along these Stan countries in southeast China, then southeast of China, along the
Through Central Asia to Europe.
Central Asia to Europe, and so the theory is really Chinese Communist Party, by loaning some of their money
Yeah.
to build highways, roads, and ports,
Yeah.
bases, and the make this. It's like use the Prime Minister of Malaysia said it's the modern China's colonization.
The modern Chinese
And
colonization.
the U.S. State Department actually call it a debt diplomacy.
Yeah.
Basically, they make you own the Communist Party so much that some of those countries, like Djibouti,
Yeah.
or in the Sri Lanka.
Sri Lanka
They
also.
were
Pakistan also.
they were in Pakistan. Yeah, they were indebted to the Communist Party so much they have to lease their prime port
Yeah.
for 99 years
Yeah.
to the Chinese Communist Party.
Yeah.
And Djibouti, country, that's tiny country in Africa,
Yeah.
was forced to allow the Communist Party to build a first military base
Yeah.
in Africa
Yeah.
in order to counter the influence of the Western democracy.
Yeah.
So let's go back to the life of the Kazakhs and Uyghurs in Xinjiang. What did for ordinary people, what does it mean to be a Kazakh, an Uyghur, in Xinjiang for their life?
The Xinjiang, the Chinese Communist Party call it Xinjiang. It means new territory, because the new territory, because they occupied it. And before they occupied it, the Kazakh people, we are living in Kazakh territory. Also, all the Kazakh territory in Central Asia, including Kazakhstan, we are same nation, one nation. And the Uyghur people, they living in Kashgaria, Hotan, Aksu, and they have 6 big cities. We call them Alt-Shahr. Alt-Shahr, it means 6 city people. And the Uyghur people is south part of Xinjiang, and we are living the north part of Xinjiang. And the Kazakh people, we are nomadic people. We are, I want to introduce my people. You could Google on it. The Kazakh people, we are living in nomadic lifestyle until now. A lot of Kazakhs also nomadic people, because 4 season pasture land, grasslands. Grasslands, pasturelands for
Like
spring.
Mongolian.
Yeah, like Mongolian, yeah. And Mongolian, we are same nation also. Yeah, same nation, same culture, and our yurt is same. Just the Mongol people, they think themselves are Lama religion that belongs to Buddhism. And we think ourselves we believe, most of Kazakh people believe Islam. And now after the 40 years, the latest 40 years, we have Christian Kazakhs, we have Catholic Kazakhs, and the Yehovah Kazakhs, and a lot of change the young people. And the Kazakh people living in this land very peacefully. Sometimes happened, the Mao time, Chairman Mao time, and the cultural revolution time. But after the cultural generation finished, we lived very peacefully without any pressure. But after the Kazakhstan get independent, more and more Kazakhs, they went to return to Kazakhstan. Because Kazakh people get independent, and we have our country, and we can speak and we can speak in Kazakh language, and we can study university in our mother language, and our television is not in Chinese but in Kazakhstan. So more and more Kazakh people, they want to return to Kazakhstan.
It's almost like
Me.
you know, after the Holocaust, or you know, I mean, actually 1948, when the Jewish state started
Yeah.
in the Israel, right?
Yeah, Israel.
So all the Jews from Europe, from
Yeah.
America, from even Africa returned to the
Israel.
fatherland.
Yeah,
that similar?
Yes, very similar.
Like
and
Salman,
yeah.
even immigrant
Yeah,
back
from Turkey, yeah.
to Kazakhstan.
And Galman and a lot of Turkish Kazakh, the original from Xinjiang, from Altai, because of their fathers. We have to say one historical Kazakh hero, call it Osman Batur. Osman Batur fought with Chiang Kai-shek, Jiang Jieshi, and after Chiang Kai-shek, he also fought with the Chinese Communist Party. Chinese Communist Party arrested Osman Batur and sentenced him to death 1951 in Xinjiang, in Urumqi. And after then, a lot of Kazakhs escaped from Xinjiang and moved to Kashmir, Pakistan. After then, the Turkey government helped them to bring them from the Pakistan to Turkey and located them. And after getting independent, a lot of Turkish Kazakh immigrated back to Kazakhstan, just like me. I and my parents and all of my family, we immigrated from China to Kazakhstan because we could build one good country in Kazakhstan. And because all of people we living under the pressure of another nation, another people, another regime. We think we could get good life. We can speak our mother language. We can live by Kazakh lifestyle without any pressure. So we immigrated there. But
So can you tell us, like, how many Kazakhs are still left
In China.
In China.
yeah, there are now by Chinese officially statistic called only 1.5 million Kazakhs living in Xinjiang, China. But we never believed it. And you know, Chinese statistics always fake statistics. So we believe that our researchers found that the last Chinese statistics, they account to every county, small county, all Kazakhs, and published every county after the Ili Kazakh Autonomous Prefecture, and the next county after then the Tarbagatay district, after then Altai district. They published the demography statistics. We add together, we found that Kazakhs more than 3 million.
Oh, so
More than 3 million in Xinjiang, China, and now in Kazakhstan, our population is more than 19 million.
19 million.
Yeah.
So the Uyghurs are estimated in Xinjiang with over 10 million.
Yeah, and in Chinese official statistics,
Official
they call Uyghurs
more.
only 10 million, but we never believe it.
Yeah.
21 years ago, I visited the Kashgar, Aksu, and how big city Kashgar now, and all the Kashgar is millions of Uyghur people living, and I believe Uyghur people around 20 or 25 millions. I believe it, but I haven't enough facts. But I believe it. The Chinese official statistic about Uyghurs only 10 million is fake. Uyghurs more than 2 or 3 times more than Chinese official statistics.
When I was in China, of course, going through the education kind of in the mainland China, right? We were always being told in the Chinese Communist Party's propaganda that somehow the Uyghurs in the West China are separatists, terrorists. They have to be dealt with violence, and they need to be cracked down. And so we, as a Han Chinese, we have been told that again.
So I have one very famous word about
for
it.
Kazakh people, I mean, have you ever launched anything like what they called terrorist
Because
activities.
it is just the Chinese Communist Party's propaganda, and through this method, they want to let the Han Chinese people acting against ethnic minority, and the Chinese Communist Party's regime let the Han Chinese people think they are living under the protective Chinese Communist Party. So Uyghur people and also Kazakh people, they are the very peaceful people. Uyghur people, they are agricultural people.
Yeah.
I know their habit. I know Uyghur language very well. And I know the Uyghur people's history. We lived together. There are no any terror act happened in Xinjiang, China. It is just handmade by Chinese Communist Party.
There's a propaganda is a
Yeah,
made-up excuse, right?
Yeah, just the excuse. And because Xi Jinping, he is a mad person. But if some psychological aspect, if people, I could say he's a mad person. He's
crazy.
Yeah, crazy, and he's a Hitler.
He's, in fact, when he launched this
Yeah.
so-called
Hitler.
For forced demolition of crosses of
Yeah.
all the churches,
Yeah.
arrest the Christians,
Yeah.
and force the Buddhist monks to sing Communist Party revolutionary songs.
Yeah.
In the in the temples.
Yeah.
I mean, now in the mosques too.
Yeah, also.
So there's people give him a nickname called Hitler.
Hitler, yeah, Hitler.
Because his last name is Xi,
Yeah.
Xi Jinping.
Yeah.
They put a Hitler,
Hitler, yeah.
over there, and it's really, unbelievable. This is happening in the 21st century. I remember, like 2 years ago, we started also receiving requests for help. I mean, actually, back to 2017, I mean, we started working
Yeah.
together
Yeah.
to expose this massive
Yeah.
arrest
Yeah.
among the Kazakhs and the Uyghurs. But 2 years ago, I, one day received a message from a young lady who just graduated from college, and she said, Pastor Fu, I am actually Han Chinese, but my father was sent to re-education camps, and they live in Urumqi. And I said, why? You're Han Chinese. We just heard about the persecution against the Uyghurs and the Kazakhs. And why was your father even put on the re-education camps? She said they were really surprised. And later on, when her mother, went to the local police station and took a look of the record, they found, because the father was living in this next to a Kazakh neighborhood, and both of the family are managing a little, like a grocery store, and this Chinese, ethnic Chinese, Han Chinese man was kidnapped because he was reported seeing something like life in Kazakhstan is better than in Xinjiang.
Wow.
Because the neighbor, the Kazakh whole family, one day was all kidnapped to the concentration camp. So he couldn't find the neighbor. So
Yeah.
that's why then he learned, they're all put in the concentration camp. So this Han Chinese was even sympathetic. Just out of like a sympathy, he expressed that maybe in a conversation. Then he was reported.
Yeah.
He was sent to concentration camp,
Yeah.
and the daughter was so scared and escaped to Bangladesh, and she was treated terribly and was kind of trafficked as sex slave. And now she's still stuck in Southeast Asia and applying for UN refugee status. So, I mean, for that kind of family, according to your estimate, I mean, right now, like how many are being missing?
we couldn't get the correct information. But through our last 5 years, we worked on these concentration camps, and we collected more than 30,000 video testimonies and the facts published and non-published. 30,000 facts. Yeah, we collected that huge volume
That's
of
only
facts.
your organization
Yeah,
interviewed,
yeah.
right?
And after that, we found that in concentration camps, around 500 or 700 thousand ethnic Kazakhs, 2 or 3 million ethnic Uyghurs, and 50,000 ethnic Kyrgyzs, and we couldn't account how many Han Chinese. And because about Han Chinese, they are also were arrested by Chinese regime and put to concentration camp. So many regime. For example, Han Chinese who believe in Christianism.
Yeah,
Catholicism,
many
yeah.
Christians are also
and the
in
Han
the
Chinese
concentration
who
camp.
believe in Islamic, and any Han Chinese who any different religion. And the second, Han Chinese who very close to Kazakhs or Uyghurs. And these things, the Han Chinese is very close or very close friends, and also were arrested together. And we got that information that someday one Han Chinese police told secretly to one Kazakh woman, your husband we all arrested by policemen. Please quickly go out from China and go Kazakhstan. And they really got information. But the Han Chinese police told the Kazakh family because they are friends. And in the blacklist, he knew his friend's name and they told secretly go out.
Wow.
And this family arrived at Kazakhstan secretly. And thousands of facts show us. Also more and more Han Chinese policemen, prosecutors, and people, teachers who inside the re-education campus, they told the information that, and they tell the people who released from camps, they also offer us the fact that someday one Han Chinese police very, very secretly told you, your family member published your history in Kazakhstan.
So that's an offense.
Yeah.
That's a crime.
Yeah. And you will release from camp soon. Don't disappoint about it. And any kind of Kazakhs, your family members, friends who told about you were arrested by Chinese police illegally, and we have to release them. And that kind of information. And we think that the people, even Han Chinese, even Kazakh or Uyghurs or Kyrgyz, they themselves, they hate CCP's regime in Xinjiang. They don't like to do it.
Yeah.
But the people is living under the pressure, the digital pressure,
Surveillance.
Yeah.
I remembered just also a couple years ago, we received a mother of American, already American citizen, lives in Seattle, Washington State. She said her daughter, who is a student, studying full-time at the University of Seattle, University of Washington, excuse me, she went back to China, to Xinjiang, to visit her biological father. And just because in Urumqi in a hotel, she used a VPN, basically because China, they have the internet firewall.
Yeah.
She couldn't, she has to climb the firewall to submit her homework to the portal, the website of University of Washington.
Yeah.
She was tracked, and at midnight she was arrested, put a black hole. She was then sent to the concentration camp.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, and even after spending in the concentration camp, this young college student, from University of Washington, and the family did not know where she is. She was being held, and later on, of course, I went to the White House, the State Department, and travel with her mother to do international advocacy. And finally, of course, she was released from camp, but she was still kept in China, and her passport was being kept. And she was having cancer before she left, for visiting China. She just had a cancer surgery. And the Chinese Communist regime continued. And one of the things is really sad is during that time, her mother went to the University of Washington. There, the university has a Confucius Institute, have a deep relationship with the Chinese regime, asking the University of Washington to make a public appeal, to use the relationship to help this young girl, college student, to get released. You know what had happened? The University of Washington presidential office said, no,
Why?
we can't, because we have a project, a few $1 million projects negotiating with China.
Wow.
Talk about the money talks. Talk about, this dirty money the Communist Party regime used to kind of hijack, the basic fundamental freedom to make the University of Washington even silenced.
That's very bad happening
So
in the
for
US.
the Uyghurs and Kazakhs, we just rescued Guzira.
Yeah.
Can you tell us, her story, what happened to her, and then we got the rescue, and how? Then I want to, at the end, kind of ask you how the international community, American citizens, can help further.
Yeah, we saved thousands of Kazakhs and the Uyghurs. And for example, the last 2 weeks, the BBC published one very breaking news in the world that about the life inside the camps. And Mrs. Gulzira is also one of them, the thousands of people who our organization saved from re-education concentration
What
camps.
happened to her?
And she just visited, she born at China, and just like 500,000 Kazakhs, she immigrated from China to Kazakhstan.
In 2015, 14,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And she and her husband, her daughter, lived peacefully in Kazakhstan. But one day, her daughter, one day she got information that her father is situation is very bad, ill. And she went to look after her father and visited back China. And in that time, Chinese officials arrested her without any reason. No lawyer, no any process, put her to re-education center for 1 year. And a long time, she stayed at 1.5 years inside the campus. After them, then at one point, never published in Western media before, I have to say. Her husband, Mr. Tursunjan Esenala, visited me, visited my team, our Kazakh human rights organizations, and told that my wife was arrested by Chinese officials illegally. And after then, we usually recorded the video testimonies and published in our YouTube channel and send all this information to you, China8.org and Radio Free Asia, Mr. Xiaolong, and all Western media reported about it. And after then, Chinese Communist Party let Mrs. Gulzira call it inside the re-education camps more and more times to her husband, and she cried inside the camps under the pressure of Chinese police, and told her husband that, and I heard you visited one terrorist organizations against Chinese Communist Party.
So call your organization a terrorist
call my organization terrorist organization. And do you know the Chinese Communist Party is very kind to me? They put me to re-education center, and now I'm very happy inside the re-education center.
So they want her to do a propaganda.
Yeah, propaganda, because everybody knows she calling her husband inside the campus, and the phone is recorded by Chinese policemen, and the Chinese policemen teach her what kind of word she could tell or what kind of word she couldn't tell. And everything is under the control of Chinese police. And her husband answered her, because we teach her husband, because that's happened to every Kazakh family. It is very similar. Every Kazakh family who visited us, their loved ones will call tomorrow, immediately. Sometimes after we published this video testimonies, after 1 hour, Chinese call from China to this video testimony people. And we said to Mr. Tursunjan, never afraid of it. And you just tell, you are my wife. And my daughter in Kazakhstan need her mother. I need my wife. We need to live together. Why Chinese Communist Party arrest you against your willing and against my willing?
So this BBC, of course, video make the whole world shocked, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because the Pentagon previously and the European Union and all the World Human Rights Organization estimated between 1 to 3 million are in the concentration camps. So some of the more horrible things, you know, that the Guzira eyewitness. Can you use 30 seconds to describe really, I mean, the thing that she herself witnessed?
After her husband's activities and my team's activity, Guzira is released from campus, and after the Chinese Communist Party put her to forced labor factory called the Zhowan and the Jiafang clothing factory. After then, we get the factory's name, Zhowan and the Jiafang, and after we also published it in the 31 December 2018, and we non-stoply publish the video testimonies. Chinese Communist Party have to release her and give back her confiscated passport and let her cross the border again. And this family reunited in Kazakhstan again. Also, just like Mrs. Guzira, Mrs. Tursunay Ziaudan, we also saved her. Her nation is Uyghur, but her husband is Kazakh. The same history. Her husband visited us, we recorded the video testimony, we published it, and Mrs. Tursunay Ziaudan released from re-education camps, and after then she crossed the border and arrived in Kazakhstan, and now all world know what happened inside the camps.
We're happy that you know, they're able to come to West Texas. And we certainly want to do more, and we ask people to pray, and of course, according to the scripture, we are commanded by God to walk justly, love mercy, and humbly walking with God. Thank you for watching, and may God continue to bless all of you.